Welcome to the NewsHour. The U.S. vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution today that called for a ceasefire in Gaza. The U.S. was the lone no vote in the 15-member council.
The move came as the UN and others are ramping up already dire warnings of humanitarian catastrophe if more aid isn't sent into Gaza soon and if the fighting isn't stopped. According to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, nearly 17,500 Palestinians have been killed since the October 7th Hamas terror attacks against Israel. And the Israeli air and ground campaign is not slowing down. In southern Gaza, explosions shroud the skyline from afar and up close shake the streets. Israel has ramped up its airstrikes across the Strip, hitting 450 sites in just 24 hours. More destruction means fewer places to shelter. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are now crammed into a fast-shrinking space. Yunus al-Halabi finished morning prayer with his family when a strike hit his home.
This is not a life, death or destruction. It's all the same. Those forced out of their home might as well be dead.
In central Gaza's Deir al-Balah last night, people in Yafa Hospital were given 30 minutes notice to evacuate before an Israeli airstrike. Today, many returned, including the elderly, to sleep in the halls among broken glass and shattered medical equipment.
Nowhere in Gaza is safe.
Before the U.S. veto, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the Security Council to vote for an immediate ceasefire, warning Gaza's humanitarian system faced a high risk of total collapse.
We anticipate that it would result in a complete breakdown of public order and increased pressure for mass displacement into Egypt.
In the north, Israel's mission to, quote, eradicate Hamas intensified. More images circulated today showing Palestinians detained by the IDF, stripped of their clothes, some blindfolded, and crammed into military vehicles. The IDF says it will continue to make sweeping group arrests.
We're talking about military-aged men who were discovered in areas that civilians were supposed to have evacuated weeks ago. Now those individuals will be questioned and we will work out who indeed was a Hamas terrorist and who is not.
But the killing of Palestinians who are not affiliated with Hamas continues to far outnumber those who are. Yesterday, celebrated poet and Palestinian academic Rafat al-Arir was killed in an airstrike at his home in Gaza City. 2 years ago, during the May 2021 conflict, NewsHour's John Yang spoke to al-Arir by phone.
We believe our struggle is part of the global struggle, the historical struggle around the world, of the indigenous peoples around the world.
On October 10th, al-Arir had given this interview to Reuters.
Israel wants us out of Palestine or kneeling in submission, in total subjugation. Palestinians are looking forward to a future with equal freedom, equal rights and freedom, and that's not much to ask.
After news of his death broke, fellow Palestinian poet Mossab Abou Toha shared al-Arir's last poem called If I Must Die.
If I must die, you must live to tell my story.
In the occupied West Bank, 6 more dead after a gunfight following an Israeli raid on the Farah refugee camp. Military raids here have surged dramatically since the October 7th Hamas attack. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, the wail of sirens sends crowds running for shelters as Hamas continues to fire more rockets towards Israel. Many are intercepted by its Iron Dome. At the funeral of IDF soldier Gal Eisenkot, wails of sorrow. His father, Israeli War Cabinet member Gadi Eisenkot, delivered the eulogy for a son killed in combat yesterday in Gaza. Senior officials mourned with the family in the most high-profile loss for the IDF so far.